Patriots hosting this one, coming off of a tough loss against the Miami Dolphins, where just really never felt competitive for them. The Indianapolis Colts are coming off of a loss to the Detroit Lions, but it feels the opposite. Yeah, the Colts lose that game 24-6, but that game was a lot closer than the final score indicated. And I think a lot of the penalties and the lost yardage due to penalty plays were a big reason why the Colts didn't have as many points on the scoreboard as they did, even if the play remained completely the same. What's your matchup that matters here in this game?
It's not necessarily a head-to-head matchup, or I guess maybe it is a head-to-head matchup. It's the two quarterbacks.
I have the same thing.
Do you really?
I have the same thing.
I have Drake Maye and Anthony Richardson, and who's kind of better, who plays their game a little bit better. Anthony Richardson, I liked what he did against the Lions, which was, I mean, those 10 rushing attempts for 61 yards. That's something that, you want to incorporate in Anthony Richardson's game, because we all know he's got a cannon for an arm. But 82.0 overall grade the last 2 weeks, 83.1 passing grade, 4 big time throws, 3 turnover worthy plays. So that's, but that's kind of who Anthony Richardson is. And at the 63.0 rushing grade. So if you can combine kind of the rushing threat with Anthony Richardson, and then have him also, be a threat deep, which is kind of like when he picks his spots and all that stuff, you hope that he can pick his spots pretty well, and then kind of, again, rely on some of his rushing ability or his scramble ability. That's something that's going to, I think, something that Anthony Richardson can take going forward. And we are not giving enough credence either to Drake Maye's athleticism and how he can get himself out of trouble when it comes to, I mean, I was so nervous about Drake Maye starting this season behind this Patriots offensive line. For good reason, too. Mm-hmm. But then I wasn't giving enough credence to something that I really liked about Drake Maye coming out of North Carolina, which was he's so much more athletic than we want to give him credit for. And he can scramble around. He's not a running quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a guy that can get himself out of trouble, throw off platform, do all that kind of stuff. And I really appreciate, you can see that this season, and it's why he's been able to hold up behind a Swiss cheese offensive line for the most part.
Yeah.
And I also think that the offense in New England has helped him as far as the play action stuff. You look at his numbers off play action, 31 of 41, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns. He does have 2 interceptions on those, but that's something, again, that, play your game, Drake Maye, play your game, Anthony Richardson, and which one works out better? Because for all intents and purposes, Anthony Richardson is basically a rookie this year. And these are 2 young quarterbacks that you want to see succeed. Who can do it better in this game? That's what I'm watching.
Yeah, Maye should be able to attack a Colts secondary that has been very up and down this season. Not to say that Jalen Jones and Sam Womack and Kenny Moore haven't been great at points. They certainly have, but Maye has the ability to take advantage of them with some big time throws. And we haven't seen those over the last couple of weeks. Last 2 weeks, Maye's got 0 big time throws. He got 2 turnover worthy plays, but total this season, 5 big time throws, 9 turnover worthy plays. The turnover worthy play is obviously the thing that you don't want. Anthony Richardson over the last 2 weeks, though, specifically since coming back in the lineup as a starting quarterback, 82.0 overall grade, a 83.1 passing grade, 4 big time throws, 3 turnover worthy plays. And like you said, I think a lot of people look at Anthony Richardson and then just go like, oh, he's just a running quarterback, just a 63.0 rushing grade. And so a lot of why he has a high overall grade is actually what he is doing in the passing game. And I think people will look at some of the lower outputs for him and the low completion percentage and say like, whoa, how are you coming up with those numbers? Well, we track every single play. We grade every single play. Sometimes those plays are negated via penalty. Sometimes those don't show up on the common stat sheet. And for Anthony Richardson, there were a lot of those plays last week in particular. There were plays of 20 yards, 21 yards, 19 yards, 30 yards that were all called back due to penalties. And that doesn't change the fact that he was able to complete those passes down the field. It's just okay, yeah, all right, a holding penalty there, whatever it was, ends up calling it back. You're not allowed, that's fine. But that doesn't change the fact that he delivers a good ball, he completes a pass, and he gets it where it needs to go. So he has been playing better since he came back in the lineup. And I think a matchup of 2 young quarterbacks who bring you that dual threat ability is going to be a lot of fun to watch. My plus factor in this one is Latu, the rookie edge rusher for the Indianapolis Colts. Boy, he looks like a superstar in the making. Over the last 2 weeks himself, 90.2 pass rushing grade, 2 sacks, 8 pressures, 19.6 pass rush win percentage. It looked like he was really just acclimating to the NFL size, strength, speed combination through the first 4 to 5 weeks of the year, but He was my edge one last year for a reason. He was a top 10 player for me and somebody that I could absolutely see leading a defensive line in the NFL. We are well on our way at that point. And even though Jared Verse came out of the gate very hot for the Los Angeles Rams, I think Laiatu Latu's got a sneaky chance to still win Defensive Rookie of the Year because of the production that he is going to put out over these next 5 or 6 games. So Laiatu Latu is my plus factor here for how well he's been playing. Who is your plus factor here?
It's the Patriots offensive line, as it is pretty much every time Drake Maye's
trying to block Laiatu Latu, yes.
Trying to block Laiatu Latu. So yeah, that's very complimentary. But they are dead last in PFF grade at 49.9. And why this matters to so much, other than the obvious, is also because you look at Drake Maye's passing stats beyond the sticks. So some of these kind of longer throws that are going to keep you on the field, that are going to progress you down the field. And he has 8 touchdowns on those past the sticks kind of throws, or throws over 10 yards. But he also has 5 interceptions. So you want to be able to give him time to kind of process what he's seeing downfield and make good decisions and all that kind of stuff. Because once Drake Maye actually gets inside the red zone, he's been doing phenomenally. 15 of 25, 86 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. But that's not a whole lot of yards. That's not a whole lot of attempts when you consider now that Drake Maye has played quite a few games. And it's because you're not getting into the red zone situations. And so in order to do that, this all kind of hinges again on the offensive line, allowing Drake Maye the time that he needs to make those throws, to get the ball down the field and to not turn it over.
We had a comment in the chat. Steve said, do you account for the quote, because of the flag, the plays were able to be made and not without the flag, kind of a question, going back to sort of Anthony Richardson's unrealized gains or unrealized yards. And obviously that's true. You know, one of them I think was offensive pass interference. The other one was a holding call. I actually think 2 of them were holding calls, but still Richardson's able to make those plays. So yeah, all right. Like, could he have been tackled? I'm not trying to take that away. That's why the plays were not allowed in actuality, but he still then attempted the pass, completed the pass, and it was a great throw. Like, he still gets credit for that being a great throw. So that's sort of where we get with that. Yes, obviously the play could not have been made without the flag being there when it comes to maybe like offensive holding or something like that. But the offensive holding doesn't change the fact that Anthony Richardson was able to wind up, was able to put the ball exactly where it needed to be, and hit a explosive big-time throw down the field. So you still want to be able to give him credit for that. That's, again, PFF's motto: every play, every game, for every single player, you know? So that's sort of how we're trying. That's why we exist. That's why we're trying to make sure that we contextualize everything involved. But that includes, obviously, part of your question of why you brought that up. So I just wanted to shout that out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below. So if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.